Greetings all and welcome back to the channel. The Trimui Brick has quickly become a favorite in the retro handheld gaming community. This compact little vertical handheld features a beautiful 3.2-inch display with a 1024x768 resolution. It also has impressive emulation capabilities for systems up to PlayStation 1 and a unique design with customizable buttons. It is also priced quite competitively under $100, so it offers excellent value for portable retro gaming. I've done quite a few videos comparing it to other handhelds in the same class, and as such, I've got quite a bit of information on it, and thought I'd share some of the top tips that the community recommends. Before we get to that though, just a reminder that this video is based on comprehensive research of community resources and expert videos. The tips compiled here represent the collective wisdom of experienced brick users, so I do believe they will still be helpful. If you find something useful, please remember to like and subscribe as I upload videos weekly, and I'm sure you'll be interested in some of my upcoming content. With that said, let's get to tip number 1. And the first thing that I thought would be helpful is to know that some reviewers found that the unit arrived already set up with Chinese as the main language. This can be quite a challenge to correct if you don't know how to read Chinese. If your Trimui Brick arrives in this state, you can do the following to correct it. Firstly, navigate to the last option in the top menu by pressing the R1 shoulder button repeatedly to move to the last title in the list. You should see a gear-like icon on screen, which is the settings. Press the primary action button to enter the settings, then scroll down to find the language option. It should have some Chinese and language written in English next to it, thankfully. And from what I've seen, it should be the second option from the top. Select it and choose English from the available languages. The system should immediately switch to English, making navigation much easier. Next up, tip number 2, which is that you can customize LED brightness individually. The Trimui Brick features multiple LED lights that can be independently controlled. To change this, navigate to Display Settings in the main menu, find the LED brightness options, and then separately adjust the brightness for the front LEDs, the top taillight, and the side button LEDs. Many users recommend keeping the front-facing LEDs slightly illuminated for better visibility while reducing the brightness of the top and back LEDs to minimize distraction, especially if you're gaming in bed next to your spouse. Now, that brings us to tip number 3, configuring the function keys for maximum utility. The Trimui Brick includes programmable function buttons that can significantly enhance your gaming experience. To change these to do what you want them to do, access the Function Key Settings app from the app menu. Customize the 2 function buttons and the side toggle switch. Popular settings includes setting a button to toggle between performance and battery saving modes, or configuring the side switch to enable silent mode, which is particularly useful for gaming in public. Or you can program a button to toggle between D-pad and joystick modes for games requiring analog input like those on the N64 or Dreamcast. These customizations allow you to quickly access your most used features without navigating through multiple menus. But let's move on to tip number 4, setting up hotkeys in RetroArch. Configuring hotkeys in RetroArch dramatically improves your gaming workflow and makes it easier to enjoy your games without the need to access the full RetroArch menu every time you need to do something. To configure these, launch any game that uses RetroArch, press the menu button to access the RetroArch settings, then navigate to Settings, Input, and Hotkeys. Set Select as your hotkey enable button, and after that, configure these recommended combinations. Select and Start can be set to quit game, select an R1 to save state, select an L1 can be load state, select an R2 can be to toggle fast forward on and off for games like Pokemon, select an A can be configured to show or remove your FPS on screen. Remember to save your configuration after making these changes by going to the main menu and selecting Save Configuration. Lastly, tip number 5 is to explore custom firmware options. If you don't know what custom firmware is, it is basically operating system software for the unit that was developed by the community and is usually LITNXT based. There are a few different options here, but before we go through them, I have to mention that if you bought the brick from a Chinese supplier like Aliexpress with an included SD card, the chances are good that you were issued a generic SD card, and that it is not good quality and regularly can get corrupted. Most reviewers advise that you get a name-branded SD card like SanDisk or Samsung, and use an SD card reader and a computer to copy the files to the new card. I will leave a link to the ones I recommend in the description. On to the firmware options then. The first one up is Minui. This OS has a streamlined, minimal interface perfect for users focused on gaming performance rather than extra features. Minui offers faster boot times, automatic game resumption, and consistent performance across systems up to PlayStation 1 to name a few. The most popular though is arguably Crossmixx OS. This firmware includes additional apps and features like wireless save file backup through SyncThing. Lastly, there's also Knulli Firefly. This is basically an emulation station interface for the Trimui Brick. It looks really good as it has themes and cover art for the games that just look better than the other two. It's still in the early stages of development though, so it's not perfect, but the developers are continually improving it, so it really shows promise. Each of the before-mentioned firmware offers a different balance of simplicity, features, and performance. Minui is best for purists seeking speed and simplicity, while Crossmix offers more bells and whistles for those who enjoy tinkering, and Knulli is really the most aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. To set these up is a bit technical, but I will leave some links to setup guides in the description for you to check out for more detail. If you don't want to tinker, but you still want the improved functionality of one of these operating systems, then you may want to consider ordering a pre-setup card from the likes of LITNXT. These have Crossmix OS pre-setup, but it costs a bit more. It's a lot less hassle though than doing it yourself. I will leave a link in the description and the comments for those of you that prefer that route. So hopefully one of these tips helped you to get a better experience with your Trimui Brick. It truly looks like an awesome device and I hope you enjoy it. If you want some more info on the brick, I will leave some links on screen to my other videos on it. And if you're looking to purchase, once again there are links in the description to some of the best deals I could find. I would kindly ask that you consider using these as it helps the channel out at no cost to you. That's it for this one though. Have a nice day and I'll catch you in the next tech update.